Let's call to order the Sparks City Council meeting for Monday, May 8th with a roll call.
Mayor Lawson.
Here.
Council members Abbott.
Here.
Vanderwell. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Bybee.
Here.
Dare.
Here.
City Attorney Duncan.
Here.
City Manager Croots.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, let's have our invocation by Candace Fife from the Baha'i Faith.
Can you hear me well enough? I just want to tell you a brief thing about what the Baha'i Faith is. It's the newest world religion, 180 years old. We believe that there is only one God, that all the religions came from the same God. So we're very loving and inclusive of all religions. And we believe that mankind is one. And that the whole purpose of all of us is to carry forward an ever-advancing civilization to help for world peace, for the security and safety and prosperity of all people in the world. So we have many, many prayers, but today I chose two short ones. And the first one is for good governance. O my God, O thou who endowest every just power and equitable dominion with abiding glory and everlasting might, with permanence and stability, with constancy and honor, aid thou by thy heavenly grace every government that acteth justly towards its subjects, and every sovereign authority derived from thee that shieldeth the poor and the weak under the banner of its protection. And the second prayer is for all mankind. O thou kind Lord, O thou who art generous and merciful, we are servants of thy threshold and are gathered beneath the sheltering shadow of thy divine unity. The sun of thy mercy is shining upon all, and the clouds of thy bounty shower upon all. Thy gifts encompass all. Thy loving providence sustains all. Thy protection overshadows all, and the glances of thy favor are cast upon all. Confer a new spirit upon all people. Unlock the gates of true understanding, and let the light of faith shine resplendent. Gather all people beneath the shadow of thy bounty and cause them to unite in harmony, so that they may become as the rays of one sun, as the waves of one ocean, and as the fruit of one tree. May they receive illumination from the same source of light. Thou art the giver, the merciful, the omnipotent. From the Baha'i Writings.
Thank you. Ms. Bybee, will you lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Move on to public comment. Madam Clerk, will you read prelude to the public comment, please?
I will, Mr. Mayor, thank you. This is just a reminder that all public comment remarks shall be addressed to the city council as a whole and not to any individual member of the council or staff.
Okay. With that, we'll start with Mr. Mike Pilcher, followed by William T. Stewart.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and city staff. For the record, Mike Pilcher. I'm the immediate past president of the Northern Nevada Central Labor Council, an executive board member with Nevada AFL-CIO. If you recall, the last time I spoke to you, I brought to your attention, based upon the feedback of our classified employees that we represent and the non-classified employees that reached out to my desk, the respectful suggestion you may have an internal issue causing a workforce development challenge. Well, we conducted a survey. The new president sent it out. It was an external employee survey. I hope you're aware of it. And for the short time period that it's been out, there was good participation. I'm here to share some of the results in general form with you. Generally, the employees were asked if they like working with Sparks, and they do. They feel like they contribute, and they're satisfied to some degree, which was great to hear. When the questions got more closed with respect to advancement, career opportunities, personnel leadership, specifically at the top two positions, one of the top, or two of the top positions in the city, let's just say that, one of which will be evaluated here today, and the ability to upchain complaints from their immediate supervisor to those positions, the results fell significantly in positivity. There was also an opportunity for employee comments, and they were very telling. For me, it was confirmation of what I suggested to you the last time I spoke to you. And so I think that you have a difficult decision before you today in one respect, and I don't envy you. You're probably at the crossroads of personal feelings and emotions versus the expectations of your citizenry and your employees. I hope, I'm praying for your fortitude, and you have two choices, as I see it, to move forward, to attract and retain the brightest and the best, where maybe 2 FTEs can do the work of 3, to foster a culture, long-term, short-term, medium-term, of inspiration, motivation, and appreciation, and create that culture of successorship for the new leaders of Sparks in the future, or status quo. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and hardworking city staff, thank you for your time and have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Mike. All right, William Stewart, followed by Tom Green.
Good afternoon. William T. Stewart for the record. Thank you for your time. Obviously, lots of good things to be talked about today. One of the things that was just talked about in the invocation, good governance. One of the things I want to bring to your attention is basically the manager's contract, section 12, under ethical commitments. Just want to read from that. Let me find it. The mission of the ICMA is to create excellence in local governance by developing and fostering professional local government management worldwide. To further the mission, certain principles as enforced by the rules and procedures shall govern the conduct of every member of ICMA, who shall, number 1, be dedicated to the concepts of effective and democratic local government by responsible elected officials and believe that professional general management is essential to the achievement of this objective. Number 2, affirm the dignity and worth of the services rendered by government and maintain a constructive, creative, and practical attitude toward local government affairs and a deep sense of social responsibility as a trusted public servant. Number 3, be dedicated to the highest ideals of honor and integrity in all public and personal relationships in order that the member may merit the respect and confidence of the elected officials, of other officials and employees, and of the public. Number 4, serve the best interests of the people. Number 5, submit policy proposals to elected officials, provide them with facts and advice on matters of policy as a basis for making decisions and setting community goals, and uphold and implement local government policies adopted by elected officials. Make sure I have enough time. Recognize that elected representatives of the people are entitled to the credit for the establishment of local government policies. Responsibility for policy execution rests with the members. Number 7, refrain from all political activities which undermine public confidence in professional administrators. Refrain from participation in the election of members of the employing legislative body. Number 8, make it a duty continually to improve the members' professional ability and develop the competence of associates in the use of management techniques. Number 9, keep the community informed on local government affairs, encourage communication between the citizens and all local government officers, emphasize friendly and courteous service to the public, and to seek to improve the quality and image of public service. Number 10, I'm going to run out of time. Resist any encroachment on professional responsibilities, believing the members should be free to carry out official policies without interference and handle each problem without discrimination on the basis of principle and justice. These are things that you should live by. Hopefully all elected officials should live by. I think we're going to talk about that later today. So hopefully these things can be brought out and everything will be talked about and openly. Thank you for your time. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. All right, Tom Green, followed by Gayla Olet.
Good afternoon. Tom Green, Sparks resident. I'm here to comment on the manager's future with our city. I've commented on this before. I'd ask the board to set aside politics and promises made, stick to what's right and proper. The manager is a liability to the city, and his continued leadership of the city will hurt the city in the long run. He's simply becoming a distraction. In the last few years, here are some lowlights that I think can be placed at the manager's doorstep. The local 1265 firefighters union called the manager's leadership style, quote unquote, serial corruption. Fire Station 6, which is still needed, is delayed. Why? Why does the manager's home not have the same fire sprinkler requirements as homes surrounding his home? A tenured police employee was terminated from the police department, was rehired and re-terminated. We're told that a senior HR member was let go surrounding this whole debacle. What happens when this police employee is reinstated? Do we pay for this mismanagement? The city still has not settled the George Forbush matter either. How did the manager cover the $13 million shortfall in the city's budget? Former employees have described his leadership as autocratic and built on favoritism. The police chief recently tried to leave to another agency. Was this because of his leadership style? 2022 employee survey responses included, quote, it is impossible to discuss issues with HR, and, quote, promotion and position requirements are unclear and seem arbitrary. Quote, HR nitpicks through qualifications. Appeals are not an option. Quote, management in management services does not support my efforts. Communication is a huge issue. Nobody stops by our offices to check in and see how we're doing. My favorite one, though, is attributed to the HR department. Quote unquote, managers aren't required to be nice. The Mark Lawson affair. You guys hired a headhunting agency. That agency should never be used again. There should be a lot of questions answered about how that came about. The manager claims that Mr. Lawson quit, yet he denies that. I've seen no proof, and I don't think the city's produced any proof. How did the manager learn of Mr. Lawson's problems? Was it Walt White that told the manager? We'll find out eventually, I think. In an ill-placed YouTube video exposing confidential criminal investigation and the public shaming of a fire chief may cost the city more money. We now have Granny Gate, as we call it, and no offense to the firemen in the room, but we've got a uniformed fire person accused of pushing an old lady down in the alley, all on video, picked up on national news. Whether or not it's true and accurate doesn't really matter. Somebody's going to open the checkbook, I would assume. So in deference to Mr. Kreutz, and this is not personal, he's had a long career with the city, simply time for change, in my opinion. These pass the torch anointments reek of good old boy system. We see it all the time in bureaucracies, and we're sick of it. Time for Mr. Kreutz to head to retirement land, and let's get some fresh ideas and eyes to look at this wonderful place that we call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Kayla Willett, followed by Mark Markel. Can you get a mic up to Mark? Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Gayla Willett. I actually reside in the rural part of Reno, Nevada. I'm not a Sparks citizen. I'm going to try to keep this brief. I didn't do very well last time. It's difficult for me to have an opinion over a man that's on the Sparks payroll losing his job. When he wouldn't take my phone calls or answer emails when I reached out about my mom's assault by the Sparks fireman paramedic on public property on December 8th. There's no room for public service for those who seek to serve selectively. My family did not sensationalize this story. Instead, we reached out to all of you back in January when my mom's assault was fresh. We hand-delivered to all of you this binders with reports detailing what had happened to our mom. We sent you memory sticks with videos of the assault. With the exception of Mr. Duncan delivering the private message to us in a meeting that the city council wanted us to know that they would pay for mom's medical bills, not a single action has been taken by this council or the city to right the ongoing wrongs which have been occurring since December 8th, 2022. Not a single action that would ensure public safety. In that report binder, I told you it was my family's expectation that what had occurred would be addressed, that we expected answers, that we expected you to ensure this would never happen to anybody else's mom, grandmother, or great-grandmother. We told you if you failed at this task, we would do it for you, and here we are. You are the leaders of this community. People who live here are counting on you. My mom was counting on you. It seems all that you've all done of late is disappoint them and hit them in their wallets as taxpayers. I sent all of you a link to my mom's website, www.justiceformaureen.com. I did so as a sincerity because I think it's possible that some of you are making decisions based on untruths being fed to you by people who lack moral character. People who think they are protecting the city by handling a horrible event in a disgraceful way. Good leaders know this approach doesn't help you survive. It only helps accelerate your extinction. The city of Sparks is kind of like Rome right now, and it's burning. People are watching this story around the nation as far away as the UK and Australia, and it's only getting started. It's going to get worse. It's going to get bigger in the coming weeks ahead. So the axe can start falling on those involved today, but people deserve to know the truth. Terminating contracts just isn't enough. It's why I sent you that link with all those body cam vignettes and documents so you might know the real story of the woman Sparks Fire Station number 1 and Sparks PD call the Crazy Cat Lady. She has a name. It's Maureen. If you continue on your path, then you all deserve what the voters serve you up. I'll leave you with this thought. There's a Buddhist saying, believe nothing, no matter where you read it or who has said it, not even if I have said it, unless it agrees with your own sense of reason and your common sense. You all need to start thinking for yourselves. Our public servants need to start thinking for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Markel.
Okay, I'm going to read for Mr. Markel. A Yucaipa man was in critical condition Friday at Loma Linda University Medical Center, where he was taken for treatment of head injuries after a car crash Thursday, authorities said. Mark Markel, 24, was thrown from a 1977 Datsun as it overturned on Live Oak Canyon Road at the eastbound Interstate 10 off-ramp at 4:30 p.m., said California Highway Patrol Officer Amber Drysdale. The driver was driving south on Live Oak Canyon Road when he lost control of the car, struck a curb, and skidded into the off-ramp. The vehicle rolled over several times and landed on top of Mark Markel, Drysdale said. The cause of the accident is being investigated.
I want to thank you. I don't talk that well. I want to get the message out what happened to me because I rode with a drunk driver. And I want to make sure it doesn't happen to anybody else. And I want to say the nurses are not do a good job. I was in there for 6 days because I fell on my face. And I used to be able to use a walker, but now I have to use this gadget. And I just want to show people I'm paying for my mistakes from when I was 24. I'm still paying for it. And it's no good. I hate to see that happen to anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? All right, we're going to close public comment, bring it back to the dais, and I am looking for approval of the agenda. Let me get my computer in the right place. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, I'm looking for approval of the minutes. Mr. Anderson.
Move to approve the minutes from the city council meeting for April 24th, 2023.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 7.1, Proclamation, Building Safety Month. Mr. Dare, I believe you have that proclamation.
I do. Hello. This says, whereas the city of Sparks recognizes the community's growth and strength depends on the safety and soundness of homes, buildings, and infrastructure, both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas the public's confidence in the resilience of these essential structures is achieved through devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and all others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians include dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit organization that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect the public in the buildings where all of us live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of communities, largely unknown protectors of the public safety, local code officials who assure safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to the community's prosperity. And whereas the theme for Building Safety Month 2023 is It Starts With You, encourages us all to raise awareness about building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas each year in observation of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improving building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore, Ed Lawson, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, does hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 as Building Safety Month. Good job. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mayor Lawson and council. And for the record, Mark Miranda, I'm the building official for your building and safety. And so I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for your support over the years. And we think it's very beneficial to have safe buildings for the people to work and visit City of Sparks. So we're really happy for your support. I'd also like to thank the city manager and the city manager's office for their support over all the years for building the safety. It's much appreciated. So with that, I would like to acknowledge my building staff that's here today, and we'll have them come down and have a little picture. Again, thank you guys so much for all your support. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
We got our seniors over here, Ricky's. Maybe they'll come down now. Just talking to my son, Ricky's. Because his summer's.
Put them all. Got a bunch of them.
Wow. Well, that is a big crew.
Good work, everybody.
Thank you. Good job, guys.
That opened up some seats.
There we go. We have seating available now if some of you from the hallway want to come in. Okay, let's go move on to 7.2, National Public Works Week. Do we have anyone from Public Works Week to accept the proclamation? Okay,
Go ahead.
go right ahead.
Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of people in the city of Sparks. And whereas the infrastructure in these facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, including engineers, managers, skilled workers, and employees at all levels of government and private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid water waste, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for public welfare. And whereas it is in the public's interest for residents, civic leaders, children in the city of Sparks to gain knowledge and understanding of and to maintain progressive interest in the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association, now therefore Ed Lawson, Mayor of the City of Sparks, do hereby proclaim the week of May 21st through May 27th as National Public Works Week, and urge all citizens to join with representatives of American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies to honor our public works professionals, engineers, managers, skilled workers, and employees, and recognize their contributions to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life.
Thank you, Councilmember. John Erickson, City Engineer for the record. What you've just indicated, we do all of that here at the City of Sparks, and we have a very hardworking maintenance group. We have a solid engineering group. I've been very blessed to be working for the City of Sparks for 20 years in public works, and so it's very satisfying to be a servant for the City of Sparks residents, and I look forward to be doing that for the next couple of years. So thank you.
Just want to say to all of our public works team, you guys are amazing. Especially we got to see all the work you put into it this winter with the countless hours of road preparations, road clearing, all the work, plus not to mention all the potholes that came as a result. So I just want to say thank you. It's you guys are usually behind the scenes and not getting all the glory and everything, but I just want to say thank you. You guys do a fantastic job.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? Good job. Tell your crew, thank you. Okay. Let's move on to 7.3, Boards of Commission vacancy announcement, Civil Service Commission. Mr. Manager.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and members of the council. For the record, Neil Kreutz, City Manager. Item 7.3 is for the vacancies on the Civil Service Commission, where we have 2 vacancies, each for a 3-year term that will run through June 30th of 2026. Applicants must be Sparks residents and cannot be a City of Sparks employee or related to one within the 3rd degree of consanguinity. Applications for both of these vacancies will be accepted through Friday, May 26th at 5 p.m. Item 7.4 are announcing vacancies on the Parks and Recreation Commission, where we have 3 vacancies, each for a 3-year term running through June 30th of 2026. Members must be a resident of the City of Sparks or have a valid Sparks business license. Applications for these vacancies will also be accepted through Friday, May 26th at 5 p.m. Persons interested in serving on either of these committees should complete a community service application available online at the city's website, www.cityofsparks.us/getinvolved. It's all one big word. Complete the form and hit submit. Thank you, Mayor Lawson.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to consent items. Anyone wishing to pull a consent item? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Bybee.
I move to approve consent items 8.1 through 8.9 as submitted.
Mr. Abbott.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. General business, consideration, discussion, of possible action regarding the annual performance review of the city manager, Neil Kreutz. Ms. Valdez.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson, council members. Jill Valdez, Human Resources Director for the record. I'm here before you to talk about the annual performance evaluation for the city manager. It is performed May of each year, and By statute, you evaluate the performance, job description, job duties, and related matters. Neil Kreutz is required to be notified. A letter dated April 21st was hand-delivered to him on April 24th. And he may bring a representative with him if he so chooses to this meeting. This year, you rated the performance on 7 categories: management of the organization, execution of policy, financial management, relations with council, community relations, leadership, and professionalism. Last year, there were 8 categories, but based on feedback from the council, we determined that 2 of the categories were similar enough that they should be combined, leaving us with 7 this year. The rating scale you used was a 0 to 6 rating scale. At the bottom, unsatisfactory, failing to meet all expectations. At the top of that range, outstanding, far exceeds all expectations. And right smack in the middle is the good category, which is where you're seeing solid job performance, meaning meets all expectations. This is a representation of the scores that you gave Mr. Kreutz this year in May. As you can see, the overall average is 2.5. We do have some differences among the members. We have 6 raters, and 6 of you scored him between a 0.0 at the lowest end of that scale and a 4.0 at the high. The leadership was the lowest score, and at the top, financial management was the highest score. As far as how that was distributed across you, the council members, 1 of you gave an unsatisfactory rating, 1 of you gave a poor rating, 1 a fair, 2 gave a good, and 1 gave very good. The council establishes specific performance criteria through this process to assist with next year's annual review. And specific performance criteria shall be applied prospectively, not retroactively, when evaluating the manager. With that, I'd like to pause just a moment and bring up your actual recommendations for Mr. Kreutz. These are expectations that each of you wrote that are compiled. First off, what I'd like to see in a city manager: 1, leadership that lifts everyone up to feel valued and heard. 2, leadership asking all employees at all levels what can be improved and to be able to share in decisions. 3, collaborative leadership with stakeholder feedback and buy-in. Improved working relationship with human resources and legal departments. Employee relations, employee morale. Surveys may say good, but talk in the hallways isn't. More community engagement. Right now, people know who the city manager is because of his fire video. 1, Neil has done well in surrounding himself with a very effective and efficient leadership team. I encourage him to lean into their areas of expertise to make the best possible decisions for the city of Sparks. 2, Neil should continue to build on the bench of strength of the leadership team. Encourage those wanting to rise within the ranks to build on their knowledge and skill set to be ready when the opportunity presents itself. I would like to see resolution within the fire department and their concerns. I do believe with our new fire chief in place, we are moving in the correct direction. The council needs clean and whole information on a regular basis. I want to make sure that my concerns and my approach is thought of as decisions are made. Neil needs to work on the communications with council. While it is frequent, it needs to be more personal to the particular council member. And with that, do you have any questions about the expectations before I return to previous presentation?
Buddy?
Okay. So opportunities that are available to you under the contract include the performance evaluation, which we're discussing today. But at other times of the year, you also have the ability to meet with the city manager to develop specific criteria to serve as the city manager's mutually agreed upon goals. And individually and collectively, the council shall use their best effort to refer in a timely manner substantive criticisms, complaints, and suggestions for study and/or appropriate action. The recommendation today from Human Resources is that council deliberate as desired regarding the performance, job description, job duties, or other related matters, and use today as an opportunity for council to set expectations that are to be used for the next performance evaluation. I would also like to remind you that you should provide the city manager and/or his representative the opportunity to speak during this process if they so choose. For your action on this item today, there is no consideration of a merit increase. Mr. Kreutz is at the top of the salary range. There are no other contract term changes requested or agendized. And so the direct and simple matter at hand is completion of the performance evaluation. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Nobody?
If I may.
Paul?
Jill, could you do me a favor and could you spend just a few minutes explaining the difference between the contract that Niels has in place versus a civil service contract?
Yes, there are three main types of employees here. One is elected, such as yourself. There are also civil servants and appointed individuals. Civil servants are brought into the city and have a probationary period where they establish their knowledge, expertise, performance. Once they become civil servants, there are due process expectations of how they would be addressed were there to be a concern about performance. Appointed positions are different from civil service positions, and we have appointed positions at the city where there is a resolution covering a number of employees, such as with the management professional technical group or with the attorneys group that feeds into the elected city attorney. There are also individual employment contracts. For example, department head and above have individual contracts that are negotiated between that person and the city, and the council must approve those contracts.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Dare?
So just looking at the performance, it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of perspectives that are coming into this evaluation. What was do you remember last year's scoring?
Yes, last year was 4.3.
How about the year before? Do we have any idea?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but it has generally been above the 3 level.
I'll help with that because been here 7 years now. I think we've seen a pretty consistent in leadership and different things in that. And this time, there has been some shifts in that. And so one of the things that concerns me, whether I'm the low rating or the high rating, truthfully, I can tell you that in my mind doesn't matter. What matters is that we in Sparks get to function and function as a whole. So I'm concerned, and I would hope that, I know there's another item that we'll be diving into this, but no matter what the future holds, is that we have to be able to get back to a place where we are seeing similar outcomes and that they're explained. And so I think the outcomes expectations that you put on there are very crucial. I mean, one of the things that continue to seem to be a theme of listening and even hearing some of the public comment has to do with the valuing and leadership of some staff who are feeling different things. And again, I'm sure you could line up some staff that wouldn't agree with that, and I mean, it's kind of how it goes. But in my estimation, I do believe the city manager's responsibility is to serve all, not just the ones that are around him, not just the ones that like everything he does, but to find ways to do that. And so I would just hit on again, even the resolution. I realize that union stuff is difficult. I realize that there's a lot of conversations that kind of go in cycles and things. And right now there are, I do hope to see that move forward. And I do think with the hiring of the new chief, like was stated, that will happen. But those kind of things do give a tell of leadership. And so the kind of stuff that I am looking for is making sure, and I want to put it on record, making sure that we are able to see that change, that we are seeing these things resolved, that conflict resolution is part of the job, and to linger in the conflict is a very big concern of mine. And I think when we linger in conflict, it tends to give that kind of disparaging different reports depending on who we're talking to or what we're seeing. So those are some of my thoughts on this. Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Vanderwell?
I don't have any questions for Jill, but I'd like to have I have a question for the city manager, if I can address it. I just, per your LinkedIn, you've been in management position for pretty close to 25 years. In these years, can you ballpark how many hours per year of continuing education for management that you take?
Ballpark is going to be 40-ish hours a year.
Terrific. And then just a follow-up to that, in that training, are any of those hours specific to HR or employee relations?
There have been hours on and off over the years specific to HR and employee relations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, well, then I'm looking for a motion. Oh, sorry, thank you. I have to remember you have an opportunity to speak or have your lawyer speak.
Oh, for starters, I did not bring a lawyer.
Okay.
I am here as your manager. So I'll speak for myself. This is the hardest job I've ever had. I love it. I love what I do. I am not perfect, and I would never claim to be. But I am, as was noted in the evaluation, surrounded by good people at all levels in the city, and want to thank the employees of the city of Sparks, even those who disagree with me and think I make a series of bad decisions one after another. We all work to serve the people who live, play, and work here. And that's where we take our main sense of pride. And I want to continue doing that on your behalf. I strive to do better. This has been a difficult year, but I look forward to moving through these troubled times and getting back to a place where we are all more focused on serving the public than we are on what we're doing here today.
Thank you. Ms. Bybee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is my 9th manager's review that we do every spring. I have never had a score this low, and the previous couple of years with Mr. Kurtz at the helm, they have not been, and there's a lot that has transpired this year. And I have grave concerns about 2.5 average. And really, my trust in leadership is not just me, it's not just one of us, it's the average across 6 of us. And if you looked at the numbers, they kind of, are a little bit across the board, but really pretty consistent on the other hand, because that overall score is reflective of 6 of us giving input, not just 1 or 2. And I guess, living here so long, being councilwoman for 9 years, my concern for our staff, for our businesses that do business here, the people who live here,
my heart has always been in Sparks. I think most of us who live here are Sparks proud. I mean, we really are. We care about this community incredibly. And I really feel like our leadership should lead us in a positive direction. And I feel this last year, it hasn't. And so I know in these two agenda items, this is the one of the two items that really we have an opportunity with the numbers that we show up there and any comments we make to really just kind of express my concern with where we are and how we move forward. And we have to. We're a growing community. The challenges we meet today compared to 9 years ago when I was elected are vast and put a lot of pressure on management and on all of our staff and on all of us. And we need to find a way to move forward with leadership that will take us there. And I guess really the bottom line for me is a lack of trust right now. And I think those numbers reflect that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Ms. Vanderwell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to echo Councilwoman Bybee's good portion of her comments. I would also like to state that I no longer trust or do have confidence that our city manager has the best interests of our city, its employees, or its citizens at this time. And I've only been here, this is my third year, and it has been a difficult year. And I think a lot of things possibly could have been handled a lot differently than they were, and I believe that's why we're here today. Thank you.
Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. So in my review, I'll be quite frank with most all of you. Yes, it was one of the lower ones that I've given Mr. Kreutz since he's been here. But overall, I think he is doing a good job in what he's been doing. I would challenge any of us here, and likewise those that are here present in the building or listening, to ask themselves if they have ever stumbled in their careers, in their professional lives. Have you not made errors? And with that, we heard Mr. Kreutz admit that he had seen some areas where he could have made better decisions. I know for myself that I had meetings one-on-one with him to sit down and voice my expectations, my concerns. And with that being said, I want to challenge my fellow members up here to do the same. It should not have been a surprise, and I'll be honest, I was surprised by the all zeros of one of us that they presented, because of the fact that we all have the opportunity to voice our goals, our frustrations, whatever they may be, throughout the year. And if you look at the performance, whether it's working through these questionable, financial futures or employment issues, whatever it is, I believe that Mr. Kreutz has done well in that. Were there a couple mistakes? Of course. We all make them. I know I've made them myself, and like I said, I challenge you all to look at your own lives. But with that being said, I want to say that I am supportive of where he is. I do ask that for the future and future reviews that, Neil, make sure that folks know that you care, that you hear them. I have heard a couple where, people said that they felt that you weren't listening to them. So I would just encourage you to continue to lean into that. And likewise, my fellow council members, please make appointments to get in front of him and sit down and talk to him so that he clearly understands our expectations and where our goals are. With that, I did want to add one thing that I was advised this afternoon from someone that our congressional delegates, Senator Cortez Masto, Senator Rosen, and Congressman Amodei, have voiced their appreciation for Mr. Kreutz and the work that he's done with them on behalf of the lands bill.
Okay, anyone else?
So, Mr. Mayor, I think as part of the evaluation process, if Neil wants to respond to anything, he can do that as well. I just wanted to note that.
I appreciate the feedback here today, and most particularly the critical feedback here today. That gives me the best opportunity to learn, to understand what your expectations are. I am not afraid of critique and criticism. I look forward to it because, as I just said, it gives me an opportunity to get better. So I look forward to having 6 very productive, open conversations, hopefully, as we move forward together. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Dare?
I do have one challenge, because I even saw it in here from somebody that, I think it said that surveys say one thing, but the halls say something else. Now, I challenge everyone, please, we read every survey. We look at everything we get. We do. And so if we are getting stuff from our staff that is not true, if that's actually true, then I'm going to tell you that you're not making our job very easy. I mean, you please know that. We need to hear. And I say this, he needs to hear. He needs to see that. And I've seen that. I've seen the other stuff. I see stuff that is not positive on that thing. And you don't know the conversations we have, but I'll tell you what, the idea that somehow there's this information out here, but there's the real information for us to find, it's an impossible job. No one could do that job then. That's just an impossible job. Even for us, we have a certain particular thing. We're not with you every day. I mean, we're a council that does go out into the field. We do go do drive-alongs. We do go out and do that stuff, but that doesn't give us all the information that we need as we walk forward. So please help us help you. If you see a survey going out there, please let us know what's going on. And let him know what's going on. Let the staff know what's going on. For you to be kind in this, I don't know, whatever word you want to put in there does not work. I like honesty. I'll be straight with you, and I appreciate people being straight with us. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Abbott?
So I 100% agree we all do make mistakes. I think that is a true statement, but I think there's been many mistakes made over the years. I think how people feel, and some of those comments that we all filled out where there's a room full of people here and there's a room full of people outside of this room that have stories. And they're stories. We can all define what a story means, what a story is, but how you feel when you hear that story, how the individuals feel, I think that's what's most important. And I'm just going to end it with something that I just wrote out. I think we have an opportunity today to do what is right, not only for the future of our city, but also for the 800 employees that we have in the city of Sparks. We have the ability to move forward and lead our city into the future and continue to make the city of Sparks the best place for families, businesses, individuals, employees to call home. I'll end it at that.
Vanderwell.
Thank you. And I'd like to respectfully disagree with Councilman Anderson. Yes, we all do make mistakes, but when we have been in a management position for over 25 years, I think we really, really need to look at those mistakes as they're coming forward. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, well, with that, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Bybee.
I move to accept the results of the annual. Boy, I don't know if that was Freudian or what. Maybe I wanted everyone to lighten the mood. Okay, I got the mood lightened. Let me try it again. I move to accept the results of the annual performance evaluation for City Manager Neil Kreutz for the period May 2022 to May 2023.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, 9.2, consideration, discussion, possible termination of the employment contract AC 5553 between the City of Sparks and City Manager Neil Kreutz. Ms. Valdez.
Chief Deputy Torres, could you come help me locate the?
It's like Gina's sardine in the igloo with the feral cats when he got these. Totally unintentional. Something happened again. Perfect, thank you.
Mayor Lawson, council members, Jill Valdez, Human Resources Director for the record again. And this item before you is a consideration of contract termination of the city manager Neil Krutz's contract. This item was requested by Councilmember Vanderwell. And there are some important items to understand in what this involves. Termination involves the evaluation of character, alleged misconduct, competence, and physical or mental health if applicable. The city manager was noticed with a letter dated April 21st, 2023, which was hand-delivered to him on April 24th, 2023. And under NRS 241.031 and 241.033, we do have parameters for what occurs with an item such as this. City Manager Krutz may bring a representative, and he may present written evidence, provide testimony, and/or present witnesses relating to his character, alleged misconduct, professional competence, and/or physical mental health. The council may consider, under the contract as well, the performance as city manager, the job description, job duties, and any other matters properly related thereto. As we discussed in the last item, there are 3 major employment types at the city: our elected officials, the appointed employees, and the classified or civil service employees. The city manager is an appointed position, and it's an appointed position that has an individual employment contract between Mr. Krutz and the city, which was approved by the council here. His term began in March of 2019, and with contract extensions, it is set to expire June 30th of 2025. The contractual options in this individual employment contract relating to termination include termination without cause, termination with cause, or no termination. To dive into what these mean, termination without cause is essentially an at-will termination. And if the council were to choose that method of termination, you would need to give a 90-day written notice to the manager. And after that 90 days, the manager would receive 1 year of severance pay that includes pay, benefits, and other normal contractual payouts. Termination with cause requires a motion including cause and would require the council to create a record of cause. The contract does spell out what the definition of cause is as it relates to this employment agreement. These items include, but are not exclusive to, breach of contract, violation of City of Sparks resolution or ordinance, violation of any county, state, federal constitution, charter, ordinance, statute, or regulation, commission of any act of dishonesty, misappropriation or failure to account for public funds, an act of moral turpitude, an act which would derogate public confidence in the government of the City of Sparks should the manager remain in his position, and neglect of duties, which is spelled out at much greater length in the contract, and I'm happy to pull that page up if you need me to read that in more detail. And of course, our final option would be no termination, which you can effectuate by either an affirmative action or no vote to terminate. And I'd like to circle back to the additional step that's required through this process, which is to give the city manager and/or his representative the opportunity to present written evidence, provide testimony, or call witnesses relating to his character, the alleged misconduct, professional competence, or physical or mental health. Termination requires either 4 out of the 5 council members to vote for termination without the mayor's vote, or the mayor and 3 council members to vote for termination. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, question from the council? We go to Neil again. Neil, do you wish to say anything?
As I mentioned with the last item, I did not bring counsel here today. I did not bring witnesses. I serve at the pleasure of 4 out of 6 votes is what this boils down to here today. It is my desire to continue to serve you and to serve the city and the people who live, work, and play here. Being an effective manager is going to lead to disagreements in the way things are done and with some decisions that get made. I understand that and I respect that. That said, I have just finished seeing the preparation of our 5th annual budget process, which you took action on at our last meeting. And it makes me very proud to say, and I think it's a reflection on my performance, that I have presented you a series of 5 budget recommendations, and you have accepted all 5 without modification. And I think that you've done that because the information that we've put in front of you through the process that we conduct our budget is sound, it is staff-based, and ultimately the biggest role I have there is in recommending new needs to you. And that each of those 5 years that I've brought you a budget, you have agreed that that is an appropriate slate of new needs. Some years have been very lean, some years have not. We find ourselves in a lean year this time around, but still needing to move forward on some fronts like Fire Station 6 and completely staffing up there and getting that station constructed. So I was again very proud to present a budget to you and have it accepted. I would ask you to consider that as you are essentially deciding my fate here with the city. Thank you.
Mr. Dare.
Yeah, so the 3 options, my opinion, one is I don't believe there's a place for with cause. I don't see that at all for me. Without cause, that's something that is up to the council. That's something that can be voted upon. It's an expensive process if that's the choice we choose to make and walking forward. My question is if you are retained, again, I'm going to come back to you have a lot of questions here from a lot of our council. Are you willing to put in what it takes to bring that trust? Are you willing to put into a city? I think you've answered that, but I officially want to ask, there requires change here in the future if this is retained.
Yes, sir, I am. I am committed to having all of the conversations that we need to have, both with elected and staff, to understand a path going forward that's going to serve the city in the best possible manner. You have my commitment to do that.
Thank you. The one thing that I do want to also say, it's important we're having this conversation no matter how this turns out, because as the future unfolds, we can hold accountable to the conversation we're having here today. We've not had this conversation, so right now we're holding accountable to something that we've not had this conversation. We might have had it in small ways or this or that, but we've not officially had this conversation. So it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out in the very end, but I do strongly believe, and I just would say for me, is one way or another, there has to be change. And you've heard me say this personally and at large. So I thank you for your commitment to that. Okay, that's all.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Yes, I would like to request, because there was public comment received, and I realized that it was attached to the agenda, but I think it's important to be read into the public record regarding this agenda item. So I would like to request that it either is read in by the city clerk or I will read it into public comment.
Madam Clerk? Well, let me start with the lawyer. We've not done this as a tradition.
So Mr. Mayor, I mean, if one of the council members desires to put something in as part of the record or read it into the record, I don't see a prohibition on that. It's not opening up public comment in the middle of the item. Really, it's the council's pleasure.
Mr. Anderson.
I have a question for council. So if we're opening up one public comment that was sent in by mail, don't we have to open up everything? I mean, because if all we're going to do is look at one side of the issue.
So Councilman Anderson, really, it's the pleasure of each individual council member, what they want to bring into on the record. Certainly, the question before this body is one of termination for cause or without cause or not. And so if a council person is attempting to build the record and make a finding, they certainly can do that. And so it's really up to it's up to the council.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the council?
Or is he saying it's up to each of us?
She's gonna read this in.
I'm sorry, when I say it's the pleasure of the council, it's if an individual member wants to bring something or ask a question to a witness,
We're setting a new precedent here.
they're able to do that.
And it's not a 3-minute comment, as I read it. There are 2 of them. Neither one of them are 3 minutes. One of them is 16 pages long.
No, I'm just thinking about that's it.
Right. You say my pleasure. I think if she would like something read in, she should read it herself. Then you didn't set any precedent. She's sharing what she wants to share. Just like if I wanted to say what I wanted to say, I can say what I want to say. I think she has the right to do so, and it can be in the form of somebody else's letter or her own, but I wouldn't set a precedent at large.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Vanderwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Vanderwell, as a private citizen and individual member of the Sparks community, I wanted to express to you my appreciation for calling for a performance review and possible termination of City Manager Neil Kreutz during Monday's City Council meeting. As a former employee of the City of Sparks 2002 to 2007 and former member of the City Planning Commission 2016 to 2022, I worked with Neil and would like to share some information about his management style and his relationship with city staff. I was fortunate to hold a part-time planning intern position within the city's community development department. During this time, I worked with Neil in his various positions within the department and got to witness firsthand his autocratic and ineffective leadership style and the morale issues it caused amongst the staff. In my years with the department, I unfortunately saw how Neil drove away many talented city staff and division leaders and took retaliatory actions against staff who disagreed with his positions. Years later, I detailed what I witnessed with Neil as a community development director in a paper that I wrote for my Master's of Science in Management and Leadership degree from Western Governors University, Nevada. Attached, please find a copy of this paper for the council's review and consideration on this item. In June of 2021, while serving as a planning commissioner for the city, I was called into a meeting with Mayor Lawson and Neil at the mayor's office. During this meeting, Neil attempted to intimidate me over my vote and the comments that I had made regarding a development project that the Planning Commission recently reviewed. During the meeting, I was accused by Neil making an incorrect motion on the project and not providing the city council with enough information for when they reviewed an appeal for this project. After the meeting, I detailed my account of this meeting in the notes that I have attached to this email. As a professional planner for the past 20 years and a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners, AICP, I believe that the accusations and attempted intimidation tactics employed by the city manager to me as a planning commissioner at this meeting to be inappropriate at best and completely unethical. I hope this information is helpful to you and the city council in your review of the city manager on Monday. As a private citizen, I am concerned about the continuing of loss of very talented and dedicated city staff due to the dictatorial and retaliatory management style of Neil Kreutz. I believe that the city of Sparks would benefit from new leadership as its city manager position. If you have any questions or need additional information, please let me know. Scott Carey.
Mr. Anderson.
I have a question, Jill. do we routinely perform exit interviews?
We, Jill Valdez, Human Resources Director for the record. We do have an exit process. It is primarily relating to the benefits, post-retirement benefits that are potentially eligible to that individual and their choices. An individual could elect to provide additional feedback, but we don't solicit feedback from somebody that is not forthcoming in that, that doesn't initiate that on their own.
Okay. And so I'm going to ask you, in the exit of employees, whether it's over the last year or whatever, I mean, have people interacted with you about why they left?
I have not had very much interaction or particular feedback from individuals. We've had quite a few retirements in the last year, but I don't have specific exit comments.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? So I just want to put in perspective what Ms. Vanderwell read is, one, that individual was laid off during the Great Recession. Two, I chose not to renew him on the Planning Commission because of some ineffectual leadership that he provided. So I want to put that in context for everybody, that there may be an axe to grind here.
So, Mr. Mayor, I would say too, under pursuant to state statute, I think Mr. Kreutz has the opportunity to.
Mr. Kreutz?
Any last word or written testimony or anything else?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. With that, then, let's get about the voting.
I'm ready for a motion.
Okay? Ms. Yeah, you're going to give her a heads up so she can get it on the computer. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to terminate the employment agreement AC-5553 between the City of Sparks and City Manager Neil Kreutz without cause under Section 7C of the employment agreement.
Ms. Bybee.
I second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
So, Mr. Mayor, pursuant to the city charter, section 3.030, if there's 3 members that have voted for it, the deciding vote is with you, sir.
And I'm going to vote nay. Mr. Kreutz has an exemplary record, never been written up for anything, has no blemishes on his record, and everybody has a bad year. So motion carries. Mr. Kreutz, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Let the room clear. Call the Sparks City Council meeting back to order. We're on to 9.3, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a purchase agreement AC 5939 in the amount of $263,988 to purchase one 2024 North Star ambulance on a Ford F-450 ambulance prep gas chassis from Braun Northwest, Inc., utilizing bid number 22/23-032. That was a mouthful.
It is. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Jeff Sullivan, Training Captain, Sparks Fire for the record. The agenda item I'm presenting is the ambulance that was awarded by the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program September 6, 2022. Council approved to accept that award September 26, 2022. As you may recall, it's a very generous grant award with 90% of the funding coming from the federal government and 10% required by the City of Sparks. Following award and acceptance, the grant was required to move through the formal bid process where Braun Northwest Incorporated was the selected vendor. Braun Northwest is the manufacturer of our first ambulance that's been in production since May of last year and should be delivered by November this year. Building the second ambulance with Braun is ideal as a considerable amount of time and research went into the design of our ambulance. Continuing our business with Braun also allows us to apply that design to the second ambulance, keeping our fleet identical. And operationally, this is best practice to have a continuous fleet with the same design and features. From a fleet maintenance perspective, this benefits the city garage when stocking parts, performing routine maintenance, as well as making repairs. And the estimated build time for this ambulance is 500 to 530 days, so we're looking at September to October 2024 to receive it. This is a brief summary of how we arrived here, but ultimately our goal is to continue providing the highest level of EMS services to the City of Sparks, and adding a second ambulance to our system strengthens our EMS response and transporting capabilities. So in conclusion, this is an exciting time to see our EMS program grow, and staff recommends approving this ambulance. I'm available if you have any questions.
All right, question from the council, Mr. Dare.
Yeah, so it's going to take 2 years, huh?
Roughly.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm obviously not voting on today, but something I throw out there, I think there might be wisdom in us considering ordering another one, just in the length of time that it's going to end up taking to
Yes.
see us have another one. And so I'm excited about this. I think this is the wave of a very good step in the future, what needs to happen for our fire department. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? So this will be the third ambulance?
Second.
Second,
Yes,
okay. All right. Okay, no other comments, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Dare.
I move to approve a purchase agreement, AC 5939, in the amount of $263,988 to purchase one 2024 North Star ambulance on a Ford F-450 ambulance prep gas chassis from Braun Northwest Incorporated, utilizing bid number 22/23-032.
Mr. Anderson.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Captain.
Great, thank you.
All right. 9.4, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a reimbursement to the City of Reno for Sparks' share of a construction contract with Resource Development Company, DBA FAR Construction, in the amount of $947,100 for the secondary clarifier to a rehabilitation project at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility, with Sparks' share being $297,105.27. Casey.
All right, well, good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and members of council. For the record, my name is Casey Menser, and I am the treatment plant manager at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility. And I am here today with two related items, so this one and the next one. Those are both related to the proposed rehabilitation of one of our clarifiers, that being secondary clarifier 2A. A clarifier is essentially just a big concrete box, and as its name implies, it clarifies the water, so it allows the pollutants to settle out where they can then be removed. Now, the corrosive nature of wastewater, it naturally degrades the concrete and the mechanical components. And so this project is looking to repair the concrete and the joints, and then replace, repair, and resurface the mechanical components, as well as provide some other minor repair work to two other clarifiers. There were two bids that were submitted, and RDC was the lowest responsive bidder. This item specifically covers the reimbursement to Reno for the actual construction. The next item covers the construction administration services. This project is in the approved Tom Wharf CIP, and with that, I'm happy to answer any and all questions.
Questions from the council? Okay. No questions? Mr. Anderson? Sorry.
I do have a question on this. So I'm assuming that when these projects come up, they're very costly, they're very cumbersome. Do you look at the project and go, are there new technologies, new coatings, new products and surfaces that can be provided that are more able to withstand the corrosive nature of the product?
Yes, so every time that we approach one of these projects, we begin with the engineering design services. And so that happened in the previous fiscal year where they evaluated the best possible approaches. And in that review, the design engineers are coming at it with a new, fresh set of eyes. It's not exactly a copy paste. And so there is that evaluation that takes place every time that we rehabilitate one of these things.
Good answer. Thank you.
Like you knew what he was talking about. No, Casey, we're so glad to have you over there because you do understand this plant forwards and backwards. Anyone else? Okay, if not, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Rabbit.
I move to approve a reimbursement to the city of Reno for Sparks' share of a construction contract with Resource Development Company doing business as FAR Construction in the amount of $947,100 for the secondary clarifier 2A rehabilitation project at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility, with Sparks' share being $297,105.27.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 9.5, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a reimbursement to the city of Reno for Sparks' share of consulting agreement with BJG Architecture and Engineering in the amount of $151,340 for the secondary clarifier 2A rehabilitation at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility, with Sparks' share being $47,475.36. Casey.
Again, for the record, my name is Casey Menser, and I am the treatment plant manager at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility. So, as I said, this is to provide construction administration services for the secondary clarifier 2A rehabilitation project. BJG was selected, having been the design engineer on this particular project. They have had significant experience working at Tom Wharf, including doing this type of service for other similar clarifier rehabs in the past. The scope also includes the inspection and review of a number of different things, such as coatings, welding, crack and grout repair, site preparation, and provides for some sampling and testing. And with that, I'm happy to answer any and all questions.
Questions from the council? All right, I don't see any. All right, I'm looking for a motion then. Mr. Anderson.
I move to approve the reimbursement to City of Reno for the Spark share of the consulting agreement with BJG Architectural and Engineering in the amount of $151,340 for the secondary clarifier 2A rehabilitation at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility, with Spark's share being $47,475.36.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Item 10, we have nothing. Item 11, planning and zoning public hearings and action items. Madam Clerk, we have a second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the second reading of Bill Number 2810, an ordinance amending a final approved plan for the Stonebrook Plan Development, Stonebrook Design Standards and Regulations Handbook to increase the maximum number of nozzles permitted at a gas sales and auto service use from 12 to 24, while maintaining the number of fueling stations positions to a maximum of 12 in the GC General Commercial Land Use category within the 610-acre Stonebrook Plan Development, generally located east of Pyramid Way and south of La Posada Drive, Sparks, Nevada, in the NUD New Urban District, Stonebrook Zoning District.
Once again, Mr. Mayor, apologize for the length of my agenda titles. I guarantee the presentation is going to be shorter than that title.
So, good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Dani Ray with the Planning Division, here to present this item that's before you today. So this is the familiar Stonebrook Plan Development outlined in red and generally located south of La Posada Drive and east of Pyramid Driveway. The proposed change only impacts the gas station and auto service use in the GC or general commercial land use category in Stonebrook, as shown here in the red solid area. So typical modern fueling stations have 2 nozzles on each side of a gas pump. This arrangement dispenses 3 different types of fuels, regular and premium, through 1 fueling dispensing nozzle, and 1 is diesel through the secondary nozzle. This amendment allows them to do that without increasing the number of pumps or generating additional trips. So here's a picture showing a typical modern fueling pump. So with this slide, I'll transition to the required findings City Council needs to consider this afternoon. There's no change to anything in the Stonebrook Plan Development other than the number of nozzles permitted in the already allowed use. This amendment allows for modern fueling stations, is consistent with surrounding land uses, has no additional impacts to surrounding land, and is fiscally neutral, making findings PD A, B, C, and H. Again, there's no change to anything in the Stonebrook Plan Development other than the number of nozzles permitted in an already allowed use, so findings PDE, D, F, and G can be made. And finally, as proposed, the changes will allow any interested party to pursue development within Stonebrook in accordance with the handbook, making findings PDI, and for finding PDJ, public notice was given, and as of noon today, there's been no public comment received by staff. So the Planning Commission recommends the City Council amend the final approved plan for Stonebrook as proposed, and I've provided the recommended motion for your convenience. And this concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions, as is the applicant's representative.
Okay, questions from the council? No? Oh, Mr. Anderson, sorry. I gotta look there first. I apologize, Paul.
Just have a question. I want to make sure I understand this correctly. Every station that's in Sparks, if they decide to add diesel and not changing the configuration of it or anything like that, we aren't going to be going through this. I just want to make sure that it was just because this was in the handbook specific that we had to have it go through this entire process. Is that correct?
That is correct. The zoning code doesn't prescribe, or anywhere in the municipal code prescribe, a number of dispensing nozzles. Neither, to my knowledge, does any handbook within the city of Sparks. This is unique in that it did prescribe that. Back in 2006, when this handbook was approved by the City Council, having multiple nozzles, I guess, wasn't something that was really thought of. Why they wanted to limit a number of nozzles, I think, had more to do with limiting the number of pumps, which we're not changing with this amendment.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the dais. I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Bybee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve Bill number 2810 to amend the final approved plan for the Stonebrook Plan Development, Stonebrook Design Standards and Regulation Handbook. Amend the final approved plan for the Stonebrook Plan Development to increase the maximum number of nozzles permitted at a gas sales and auto service use from 12 to 24 while maintaining the number of fueling stations positions to a maximum of 12 in the GC, General Commercial Land Use category, within the Stonebrook Design Standards and Regulations Handbook based on the findings PDA through PDJ and the facts supporting those findings as set forth in the staff report.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Did you have another question, Mr. Anderson?
No, still
Okay.
up there.
It's just still on my list. All right, seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, 11.2, public hearing. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize. This is public hearing, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a request to adopt resolution number 3422 to amend the comprehensive plan land use designation from low-density residential LDR to multifamily residential MF14 for a site approximately 8.49 acres generally located at the southeast corner of Whittakin Road and El Rancho Drive. APNs 026-34157, 026-34158, 026-34159. This is PCN 18-0032/MPA 22-0005.
Okay, Sienna.
Thank you, Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council. For the record, Sienna Reed, Planning Manager, filling in on this item today for Jonathan Cummins. And as just read, before you today is a comprehensive plan amendment request for Chalets Phase 2. The amendment site is bound on red on this slide. As you can see, it's located at the southeast corner of El Rancho Drive and Wedekind Road. It consists of 3 parcels that together total 8.5 acres. Just to the south of the subject site is the Sparks Nazarene Church. To the west are townhomes, and then to the north and east are detached single-family homes. The amendment site is currently designated low-density residential, or LDR, which you can see in yellow. This designation supports densities between 3 and 6 dwelling units per acre. And so at a density of 6 dwelling units an acre, a maximum of 51 dwelling units could be realized under this current designation. As proposed, the comprehensive plan land use designation would change to multifamily residential 14, or MF14, which you can see illustrated in bright blue. This designation supports densities between 10 and 14 dwelling units per acre. At a density of 14 dwelling units per acre, a maximum of 117 dwelling units could potentially be realized under that proposed designation. That's a potential increase of 66 dwelling units compared to the current designation. As you can see, there are a variety of land uses, both in terms of designations and the actual developed uses that surround the amendment site. Just across El Rancho to the west are townhomes located in the multifamily residential 24 land use designation. That's shown in light brown and supports up to 24 dwelling units per acre. South of those townhomes are apartments located in the high-density residential land use designation, that's shown in brown, and has a minimum density requirement of 24 dwelling units per acre with no set maximum. East of the site are vacant lands and detached single-family homes designated intermediate density residential. This designation, which is the light tan color, supports densities between 6 and 10 dwelling units per acre. And then across Wedekind Road to the north are single-family homes on lots that generally range between a half acre to 2.5 acres in size, and they're located in unincorporated Washoe County. As proposed, the amendment from LDR to MF14 is compatible with the neighborhood context and uses. The MF14 designation will create an appropriate transition between the higher density multifamily developments to the west and southwest and the single-family residential areas to the north and east. In addition, it's useful to consider the proposed land use designation in a wider context. The amendment site is located about 0.35 miles north of the city's mixed-use district corridor along Audi Boulevard. You are certainly familiar with that area. It includes a variety of high-density housing types as well as commercial uses. The amendment site, as noted, is also adjacent to an unincorporated county island to the north of Wedekind. Already bordering this island is the MF14 designation to the north and the MF24 designation to the east. To the west is commercial development located in the city of Reno. As proposed, changing the land use designation for the subject site to MF14 is consistent with this existing land use pattern surrounding that unincorporated island and will allow for a greater amount of residential development in close proximity to the city's mixed-use district. All right, so with this slide, we'll wrap up the overview of the proposed comprehensive plan amendment and transition into the 4 required findings that council needs to consider today. First off, we have finding CP1 that requires the land use change conform with the regional plan. Here, policies RF3, RF11, and PF1 apply. In terms of policy RF3, the subject site has a Tier 1 land designation in the regional plan. The intent of the Tier 1 land designation is to encourage higher density development in areas where facilities and services already exist. And this is why the regional plan only allows for amendments that increase density in Tier 1. It actually prohibits amendments that would decrease density. The amendment before you today complies with policy RF3 because residential density is being increased in that Tier 1 land designation. Policy RF11 addresses land use compatibility, and as I explained a moment ago, the proposed change is compatible and appropriate with surrounding land uses. And policy PF1 addresses facilities and services standards. As services and facilities are already in place, they will not be affected by the change. Moving on to finding CP2, this requires the comprehensive plan amendment implement the goals and policies of our comprehensive plan. This request will support the development of new housing, advancing goal H1. In addition, the MF14 designation supports a wider range of housing types in furtherance of goal H2 as well as policy H2. Moving on to finding CP3 that focuses on compatibility with surrounding land uses. As was previously discussed, properties to the west are designated MF24 and developed with an existing townhome community that's denser than the proposed MF14 land use on the subject site. Properties to the east are vacant or developed with residential uses and designated IDR, which accommodates single-family development. And properties to the north are located in unincorporated Washoe County and developed with detached single-family homes. Again, the proposed MF14 designation will serve as a buffer between the higher density properties to the west and southwest and single-family designations to the north and east. Finding CP4 requires public notice be given as required by state law and code. For comprehensive plan amendments, what is required is, by state statute, is a neighborhood meeting that's conducted by the applicant's representative. That was conducted on December 5th of 2022. At that time, 17 members of the public attended, and the primary concerns stated addressed the state of Wedekind Road as well as the potential for additional traffic on Wedekind. In addition, public notice of this meeting was published in the Reno Gazette-Journal on April 28th. And to date, as of 12:30 this afternoon, 32 written comments in opposition to the proposed amendment have been received. There are a variety of concerns that have been expressed. They include generally increased density, impacts to neighborhood character, crime, noise, decreased property values, increased traffic on Wedekind, and a lack of sidewalks in Wedekind that decrease pedestrian safety. In addition, one comment indicates a possible deed restriction places limits on the use of one of the parcels within the amendment site. However, this possible deed restriction does not prohibit action on the proposed comprehensive plan amendment before you today. The Planning Commission approved this comprehensive plan amendment request, and it was also found to conform to the regional plan by the Regional Planning Commission. A suggested motion for City Council certification of the amendment is on this slide and in your packet. As a reminder, this is a public hearing item, and with that, I'll wrap up my presentation and be available for questions that you might have.
Questions from the council? Ms. Vanderwell.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Great presentation. I do have a question because, of course, emails were coming in regarding traffic, extended, more traffic on Wedekind. It's my understanding that this project was designed that everything's going to be pushed off onto Garfield Drive.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilmember Vanderwell. At this time, we don't have a project associated with this comprehensive plan amendment. We're evaluating the change in the land use designation and the appropriateness of it for the location. Certainly, traffic was taken into account from a higher perspective. What is before the council today is a relatively minor increase in density. And so at the time when there is a specific project that comes forward, we'll have more details as it relates to specific access, circulation, any other type of potential roadway improvements.
Great, thank you, and I apologize, I was ahead of myself.
Mr. Dare.
I just have a technical question. So if there's a deed of restriction and we pass this, what if the person with the deed says, I don't want you to do that to my property? We go back and we just revisit it, or what happens?
Through you, Mayor Lawson, to Councilmember Dare, the city is not a party to the deed on the property, and it does not come into play in terms of the city's action on this comprehensive plan amendment or any other type of actions on the property. It is a private agreement that was made between two parties, and any type of action on violations of that agreement would need to be dealt with by those parties.
So I'm still confused, and maybe I'm confused on the word deed then. So is a deed the owner of that property, is what somebody's saying, or is that something different? Thank you. Can someone explain that to me? Because if it was my piece of property, and you can't do that, sir.
No.
That's the only question I have. I just want to understand that as we move forward.
And I can answer if you'd like, but I have the.
Councilmember Dare, Jim
Can you speak
Rundle.
up a little bit? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Now the requests are getting crazy. Councilmember Dare, Jim Rundle, city planner. The city of Sparks has an owner affidavit that says that the applicant, the property owner, is requesting a land use change on the property. As Planner Reed identified, that's a civil agreement between two people that we're not a party to. So we would be able to move forward with this. The city council can move forward and make action on this land use amendment as it is in front of you today.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Well, this, if we have no more questions from the council, this is a public hearing. We're going to open it up to the public, and I'm going to start with Walter Willis, followed by Frank Bugatti. Walter, are you here? Bugatti? Okay. I don't see Walter. Walter here? There he is. I'm sorry. I'm thinking the motorcycle. Bugatti.
Good afternoon. I'm Walter W. Willis. I'm a resident of Sparks, city of. I'm opposed to rezoning the area I live in because it will also, before I say that, I did canvass the neighborhood. My family is also opposed. I am here speaking on their behalf. The changes that are considered would alter the character of our neighborhood, the sanctity, and perhaps the safety. And I'll close by saying, would you want someone to come in and rezone your area so they can make money and change and challenge the character of your neighborhood?
Thank you, sir. Chad Hicks, followed by Anita Hicks.
Excuse me?
I'm calling the next people up.
Frank. That's Frank.
Yeah, that was Frank.
No, that was Walter. Oh, that was Walter.
Oh,
That was Walter. Frank's on the wall.
sorry. My
Afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Frank, yes.
To the body. My name is Frank Bugatti. I live at 3515 Whittaken Road for 75 years, right across the street of this property that's being proposed to develop. Mr. Leslie Gray came to me while he was still alive. He owned all that property, all 8 for it. And I used to go over there and cut grass and take care of the property for him. Les came to me, he says, Frank, I'm gonna put you on my deed. Because I don't want nothing built on this property for 25 years. This is really, yeah. He says, I want to protect the neighborhood. He says, from anything being built here. Well, he passed. He married his second wife, Mary, and Mary had a will done, actually a trust in 2003. I gave the copies to the city attorney. On those deeds, the University of Nevada was gifted 2.8 acres, which is on the border of Wedekind and El Rancho, all the way to the Nazarene Church. Now, that was gifted to them. The covenant she put on there still exists to this day. And by the way, they still own that property. And so does the heir who Mrs. Gregg left to. LLC doesn't own none of this yet. So you guys want to rezone this, yet Les wanted it to be low density. And now what do you want to do? 75 years, Wedekind Road was a beautiful place. High density is not good for that area. Wedekind Road is tough. Since you put the school in, 3 o'clock, the traffic's backed up all the way to Sullivan. At the morning, it's backed up, people trying to go to work. And she's my representative. She should know, okay? So, El Rancho, they proposed that there's nothing being proposed. When we went to the meeting of the Nazarenes Church, they proposed to put 118 modular units on this 8 acres. 118 modulars. They're going to stack them in there like sardines. They were going to put them in there, and they're going to access it from the north side of the Nazarene Church and on Garfield coming up, okay? No, they're not going to put it on Wedekind. You're going to have a fire access to there. Let's gate it, okay? That's what they propose. Okay. What do you think they're going to do when they come out of El Rancho? They're going to turn to the right because that's the only way they can come out. They're going to hit Wedekind. They can either go straight up El Rancho or go left, right. You know how many accidents is that intersection? Constantly, at least once, twice a month. There's no turn signals on that intersection. You have to address a Wedekind Road if you want to develop that area. I know you own half of it. My property goes to the half of the other side, okay? I own half of that road. I pay taxes on that too, okay? So you guys decide what you want to do with this property and think about our forefathers, what they intended to do. Meaning that Les wanted this to be single-family homes.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. I rest my case.
Thank you, sir. Chad Hicks, followed by Anita Hicks. My apologies for the mix-up on the names.
Oh, that's all right. I'd rather follow Frank. My name is Chad Hicks. I live at 2350 Farrell Ross Drive, which is in the unincorporated county side of this property, north of what we're talking about. And I want to express my concern about this development that's going to go in there. I am against the rezoning of this. I've lived within 700 feet of this property since 1978. I built my house in 1986. It currently sits on about 2.5 acres there. The impact of high density development would be detrimental to our area, I believe. I think when you look on the west side of El Rancho, that happens to be the city of Reno, I believe. It's not the city of Sparks. I think that's our boundary line, isn't it? Correct? Okay. That is all multifamily units from Wedekind south till you hit Greenbrae. And then you go north of that on Greenbrae, you have multifamily units. And we have custom homes and just subdivisions in the other part. Please consider lower density development with single family homes to complement the existing area that's there. That is, to me, the best bridge to have between what is existing there. I encourage you to drive that area. How many have recently?
All of it.
All of you. Okay, so you've looked at it, and you know what you're looking at. You know what's north, east, and west. I have a picture that I took Friday when kids were walking home from Hug High. I'm on Wedekind, I have to stop. Garbage cans are out along Wedekind. The kids are on the street. I have oncoming traffic. I'd run over about 4 kids if I didn't stop. So that's what we're contending with now since the development of the high school. Wasn't so bad. We still get a lot of foot traffic along there, but once that high school went in, that changed tremendously. We have plenty of high-density apartment and condos in our part of the community. The impact on Whittakin Road between Sullivan Lane and El Rancho is challenging. Since the completion of the new high school, like I said, traffic has increased. It's pretty dangerous. Please consider those of us who live here and contribute to our community. I wish you wouldn't. I mean, what this it caters to is developers, really. And I would hope, Mr. Mayor and City Council, that those developers generally don't live here. They're in it for the revenue. I understand the city needs revenue. Higher density means more revenue to the city and more money to the developer. Actually, we are this community. We've raised our families here, and our children are raising their children here, and we enjoy our neighborhood. So please don't ruin it and don't rezone it. Thank you.
Anita Hicks, followed by Beth Ross.
I'm Anita Hicks, and I live at 2350 Farrell Ross Drive. My dad is the one that developed that area. His name is Farrell Ross from Ross Photo, and we moved here in 1943. We've been here for a number of years, and I've lived on 4 houses on the same street. So I've been there for a very long time. I'm adamantly opposed to the rezoning of the parcel in question on Whittakin Road. Going from a zoning of 40 to 50 homes versus 117 apartments is more in keeping with the neighborhood most impacted. So if we had homes or a lower density, it would be a much better barrier. The whole corridor between Sullivan Lane and El Rancho is very heavy on high-density apartments. We need diversity instead of more apartments crammed together. It is well known in this county island, just north of the proposed zoning, that the city of Sparks relegated this small island back to the county because they didn't want the expense of upgrading the sewer, water, road, gutters, and sidewalks. As a result, the city of Sparks, we feel, has no obligation to the neighborhood impacted from this reclassification zoning. And in fact, the proposal states that interested developers, and there are interested developers that we had the neighborhood meeting with, currently have no obligation to put sidewalks on Whittakin. The precedent of improving Whittakin when a development impacts the road was set when Kiley Ranch was built and when Wild Creek Apartments was built. These developers were required to put sidewalks and setbacks and/or parking space on Whittakin Road. The fencing that was approved by the Kiley Ranch development was a joke, but at least they were courteous enough to think of fencing. This current development has no obligation to improve the neighborhood. Rather, it will be a significant traffic increase on a road that is already dangerous to ride a bike or walk on. We recommend a traffic study be done before a proposal goes in. Our neighborhood was told when Hug High School was approved that the increase in traffic would not directly influence the traffic flow on Whittakin. How wrong they were. We live near the intersection of El Rancho and Whittakin, where traffic has increased so significantly since high school has opened that we cannot get out of our driveway during certain hours of the day. The intersection of El Rancho and Whittakin typically has several crashes a year. Just yesterday morning, we had another fatality. Any development should have a responsibility to mitigate traffic impact on an already volatile area. We as a neighborhood, and especially those directly impacted by the pedestrian and traffic increase, are very concerned about the lack of consideration to these regards and these issues. Please consider the proposal at the very least. Please be considerate of the traffic issue and require setbacks, sidewalks, and gutters in the development that does go in. It is the least that can do for our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Beth Ross, followed by Norman Ross.
Hi, I'm Beth Ross, and I've lived at 2400 Farrell Ross Drive for about 8 years. I've lived in Sparks for 46 years in that neighborhood the whole time. We've contributed to taxes and to the schools. I've been a librarian. My kids go to all the schools, and we have grandchildren in the school district. My concern is crime. I've watched the crime march from Reno on Wedekin west of us, and it gets closer and closer and closer. And just a few years ago, we had a murder suspect caught in our neighbor's backyard, and that scares me. I'll be the first to say that I'm a coward and I check doors and lock doors, but it concerns me. And when you start stacking people on top of each other in close proximity, they're going to have fights and they're going to have arguments. They're going to get on each other's nerves, and then they pull out their guns and shoot each other. And I don't want to be in a neighborhood like that. Right now, I feel like I'm in a little piece of heaven because I feel safe and I feel like, of course, my neighbors are my family, and I love that. It's a good, comfortable feeling, and I don't want to look at the back of another apartment. We have apartments above us, above McCarran, and I feel like they're just looking down on me, and I don't like that either. So I really would ask you not to develop this. If you need to develop it, let's keep it single family and a family feeling for that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Norman Ross, followed by Karen Russell Lance.
My name is Norman Ross. I live at 2400 Farrell Ross Drive. I am very much opposed to this because of the density there is. We already have high density as it is. I've had people tell me that crime per capita in the high density areas is the same, but I'm concerned about the crime per acre, which is probably 500 to 1,000 times greater than single homes. And that is very much a concern. And when you add more density and more density, it just compounds the situation. I've had situations where family members have made phone calls into the police department and have been denied services because there was something else greater than what they are, even when their bodily harm potential of occurring. They said, well, we've got something else greater going on, and denied services. How many more times are we going to have this going on? The greater the density, the greater the problem. Trying to get here, the road in Whittican Road, not only in the morning, but this afternoon, was clogged. If some nice individual wouldn't have let me in, I would have been waiting for some time trying to get here. And so that is a problem that we have. There is no allowance for curbs and gutters on Whittican Road. We've had several individuals hit on Whittican Road that are children coming home from school. And so we need something to happen there. We need to have a lot more safety occur there. I realize that Whittican is part of the Washoe County, but you've had a cloud over our heads until just recently that you had a sphere of influence over us, which is taxation without representation or legislation without representation. We need something to be done. Which need you to impose on Whittican Road the Washoe County to do something about this if you're not going to do anything for it either. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Russell Lance, followed by David Dorkin.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I've been a Realtor for over 20 years in Reno-Sparks area. And I've seen firsthand what happens when there's high density. It's sad because this is a beautiful neighborhood. We've lived there. Neighbors are close. It's large lots with custom homes on them, a lot of them. And I'm just going to read from my letter. I'm opposed to this, of course. The traffic is so bad, and it's gotten so bad since Hug High School was built that we can't even, like they said, you can't get out of your neighborhood. I mean, you're out of your driveway in the afternoon. Our neighborhood's well established, custom homes, large lots. Noise pollution, I'm worried about. If you have all those people crammed into that lot, and they're not going to, they wanted to do manufactured homes on there, so they're not even really stick-built, they're just manufactured homes. So it's kind of cheaply built, cram as many people as you can in there. There's noise pollution, light pollution, fights. Safety is something that we're worried about too. Gun violence. And decrease in our property values. Nobody wants to live right across from a place that has low-income homes crammed into each other. I mean, that just from a realtor's perspective, that's just a nightmare. That's just kiss of death right there. We've gone to all the meetings on this. We know that this property is going to be developed. I mean, it's just going to be developed at some time. But we're just hoping that you please keep it low density instead of high density. Please, just keep it single-family homes. And we thank you for your time.
Thank you. David Bjorkman, followed by, I'm going to mess this up, Hernan Aguiar? Did I get close? Close.
Mayor and city council members, thank you for having this hearing today. David Bjorkman, neighborhood property owner. So the planners obviously have supported this particular project, and that's what their job is. They go to college, they learn how to plan cities, and they decide essentially how to make cities as dense as possible. That's their job, that's what they're taught to do. And, but I think that, you ladies and gentlemen are the voice of reason, and that you're the city and the city's representatives. And so I guess now it's our turn to speak, right? And I think what you've heard today is the frustration from a lot of property owners. There's been a lot more. The fact that this meeting is on a Monday at 2 o'clock, a lot of people that wanted to come couldn't come. I think we would have had a bigger turnout by far if it had been on an evening or a weekend. And every single person that I talk to, across the board, from every neighborhood in there, doesn't support this density on this particular project. Whittakin between El Rancho and Sullivan is all single-family homes. And, if you picture yourself in your neighborhood, and all of a sudden somebody wants to increase that density 7 or 8-fold, it does make a big difference in the neighborhood. A lot of the concerns have been traffic and crime, which is kind of when you have single-family homeowners, they love their house, they take care of their house, they mow their grass. It's a beautiful neighborhood through there. If you drive through those neighborhoods, every house in there is well-maintained. And but that changes a lot when you get the apartment complex in there. And I think that, like I say, the planners had their say. By the way, I think the process is a little messed up because there really was no public hearing on this project. I addressed that in a letter that I wrote. Hopefully you had a chance to read it, starting on page 783 of your packet today. But, they had a community meeting at a church, which was informational only, not really one made for comments. But that was sponsored by the developer. There was no council planning meeting ever held. There was one scheduled for January, but that was canceled. So I feel like the process hasn't really come to you in a very well thought out or planned way. And I think that's a shame because if maybe people would have changed their mind about what they wanted to do if we'd had really a chance to speak. And then the other thing is, of course, there is this agricultural easement that's on the property till 2028. So the fact that we're trying to rezone it in 2023 just really doesn't make a lot of sense. But, the current zoning is low, the current zoning is low density, residential. And then now we're going to jump up in, there's a lot of low density programs there, but now we're going to jump up into multifamily. I just don't think it's the right thing for the neighborhood. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Aguiar, and followed by Joy Jorgensen.
Hello, my name is Hernan. I live 3701 Wedekind, just north of the proposed rezoning. I don't believe the multifamily kind of goes with the community. I think, they made a point of across Wedekind, but that's across, it's not really in the area. Everything north, south is all single family. I think if you guys do decide to do multifamily, it's a snowball effect. So the parcel right next to it is also vacant right now. So allowing this, I'm guessing, right next door to it, it'll kind of creep in there too, and it's just a bad snowball effect. The traffic upgrades, or the traffic that it would bring, hasn't really been looked at much. I think, when they say they did a study, if they don't know how many, units are going up, I don't think that's been properly addressed. And also all the, sidewalks and the lights and all that they circumvented, I don't think it's fair, so that's why I am opposed to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Joy Jorgensen. Jay.
Jorgensen.
Sorry. I don't know if my handwritings are worse, but.
Yeah. I was studying to be a doctor. I didn't quite make it.
Well, I was going to go and get some Advil. Thank you.
So my name is Jay Jorgensen. I live at 3725 Wedekind Road, and I'm just across the street from the proposed development. And, it feels like this was a bait and switch deal. We all went to a meeting. A lot of us went to a meeting in December and looked at these low-level, single-level modular units they're going to put in. Nobody really objected. Everybody was kind of cool with that. And now all of a sudden, boom, we're putting in, possibly high-rise apartments. I live right across the street. I have nice mountain views. I bet every one of you has nice mountain views. Sparks is a beautiful place to live. And my mountain views are going to be blocked by apartment buildings. And, I bought the property because I loved the spot. I loved the neighborhood. And again, addressing safety, you're going to put a bunch of people all stacked on top of each other. All those kids are going to come out onto Wedekind to walk up to Hug High School and go down to the other, the Glendale, or whatever that school is down on, off of Sullivan. Yeah. And so, again, safety is a concern. Wedekind really needs sidewalks on it at some point. What's happening, it seems to me, is that there's preferential treatment to a developer in another state when we all live here, we all spend our money here, we all work here, and we love the community, and we'd like to keep it somewhat to, you can't stop progress, but keep the flavor of the neighborhood somewhat consistent to what it is now. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? Not, then we'll close public comment, bring it back to the dais. Any questions from the dais? There are no questions. Ms. Vanderwell.
Sienna, I have a really quick question. Because one of the speakers spoke that there wasn't there wasn't meetings for public input. I noticed we had a planning commission meeting regarding this on February 16th to discuss this. Was there a regional planning commission meeting on this also?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilmember Vanderwall, I'll just kind of walk through the different meetings that have occurred and which ones have been public hearings. This item was initially considered by the Sparks Planning Commission on December 15th. I believe December 15th. And that was a notice, or not a notice, a public hearing that required notice in the newspaper In advance of that, there was also the noticed neighborhood meeting that requires that property owners within 750 feet of the site be noticed. And so in terms of the comments that have been made before you today, that meeting where potentially future projects were shown, that's what that meeting was.
Right.
And then after the Sparks Planning Commission meeting, the next meeting was the Regional Planning Commission meeting that was held on April 3rd, and that was also a public hearing. And then today, we have this meeting, which is also a public hearing. Notice was provided in the Reno Gazette-Journal. So we have had 3 public hearings on this particular item across 3 different bodies.
Terrific, thank you. Can I do a follow-up really quick? Thank you. And then also, so that it's clear, this is just changing zoning. There is no project, there is nothing there has been nothing presented to the city yet regarding a project.
This item is a request to change the comprehensive plan land use designation. So that is a broad designation that generally sets the direction of different types of uses that can be supported. Ultimately, a zoning designation will come in behind the comprehensive plan land use. That is something that could be changed in the future, but we don't have a request at this time to change the zoning, but certainly that entire process would also require public notice and a public process.
Great, thank you.
So Sienna, just help me out. Does this go to regional planning after this hearing?
Mr. Mayor, it has actually already gone to regional planning, and it was found in conformance with the regional plan.
Mr. Dare?
So and you kind of already hit on it, but I'll hit on it again just for our guests here today. So the requirement, once a plan comes together, there's a lot of conversation regarding obviously traffic, setbacks, all those kind of things. So there's a process that would be in place that would continue to come in front of all of our planning, but also in front of our community and us as well. And so I just think it's important that people that I know, that some of the fears that you kind of feel like you get in the door and then people feel like they have no say or no anything. And I think development sometimes feels like that, but it's not the full truth. We actually have a lot of moments where we have a lot of input and we ask for it, actually. I mean, I'm really glad that people come out and care about their neighborhood. It reminds us that as we make decisions, there's people living right there as we make decisions. So I just think it's important, but all of that would be required, correct? Would they do a new traffic study? I mean, can you just hit on that for a minute?
Yes, so this proposed change is really the start of the process. We have whatever action is taken here today. If this particular designation is adopted, then there would be an opportunity to rezone the property that I was discussing. That would be a public process. Public notice would be provided. From that point, there are different paths that development can take. There's a possibility that a subdivision will be needed if individual lots are created. And so that has its own process before the Planning Commission and this body. It is possible that a developer would want to move forward with apartments or duplexes. Those would require a different process depending on the number of units. Potentially, they would be required to go before the Planning Commission, potentially not. In addition, there's an opportunity, kind of going back to the zoning, for this developer to do a planned development. That's something that would provide, a very detailed look at different regulations. But in any of those processes, what will be required is a deeper look at what is being proposed with a specific development project. What is the access? What is the circulation? What are the traffic numbers? What needs to be done on the surrounding roadway network to mitigate those impacts, if there are any? And those would be commensurate to the impact of the proposed project. That's when we would also look at things like sidewalks on potentially the north side or the south side of Wedekind. So we really don't know the exact nature the development will come forward with, but there are a variety of processes to consider how to appropriately serve this site with infrastructure.
Ms. Bybee.
So Sienna, if I understand what you just said, I understand we're looking at a comprehensive plan land use designation today. If this goes through, it does not mandate that that is the density that will eventually be developed and have a project on it because we don't have a project itself. So it allows, and it also doesn't zone. So zoning is separate. Everything you just mentioned, from roads to sidewalks to things that are obviously a big concern. I mean, I grew up here in Sparks, and boy, Whittakin, my girlfriend and I used to ride horses there. So, and driving down it now, it doesn't feel a whole lot different in parts. But this would give the land use ability, but it does not designate the zoning or the project or what would actually be developed is not the decision we're making here today. Correct?
That is correct. The proposed comprehensive plan land use change does not mandate a specific project. It does have a density range associated with it, which is 10 to 14 dwelling units per acre. And so over time, as a development proposal comes through, as a rezoning proposal comes through, those would need to be consistent with this land use designation in terms of that density range. But there is a possibility that 14 dwelling units per acre is not achieved. It could be lower than that.
So I guess my question is, if this land use is approved today, can a single family development or townhomes or condos, can single family still happen within that density range?
Yes, this comprehensive plan land use designation supports a variety of residential housing types, from detached single family to attached single family like a townhome or a condominium. Duplexes, triplexes, or even lower density apartments could potentially establish on this site under the proposed designation.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, there are no more questions. I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
Oops. I move to adopt resolution number 3422 to certify a comprehensive plan land use amendment MPA 22-0005 associated with PCN 18-002, amending the comprehensive plan use designation for APNs 026-341-57, 026-341-58, and 026-341-59 from low-density residential to multifamily residential, MF14, based on CP1 through CP4, and the facts supported these findings as set forth in the staff report.
Mr. Anderson.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Sienna. All right, moving on to 12.1, comments from the public. Mr. Darren Jackson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council.
Let me just stop you for a second.
Sure.
Stop the clock too, please. Just we're going to allow these folks to clear the room for us. Okay, thank you, Darren.
Sure. Mr. Mayor, City Council, Darren Jackson, Local 731 Vice President, former President 1265. I wanted to talk to you guys today. Disappointed, obviously, from the results of the vote. I heard a lot of discussion today, and I just wanted to make a couple of pointers. So I have been meeting with you guys now for 18 months, totaling almost 36 meetings, with council members individually in pairs and sitting in front of you guys like this. I have given you lots and lots of information. It doesn't seem like the information is sinking in or getting through. So it's very disappointing to hear that you guys don't feel that you've been receiving information, that you want people to be honest in city surveys. I've demonstrated to you that you've received filtered information on the city surveys. I was forced to FOIA the raw data in order to give it to everybody on council. So I'm a little bit disappointed to hear that you didn't feel that you had the information, because I feel like I've really worked hard to give a lot of information. You've decided to back poor leadership in opposition to the mandated leadership class that you just made almost every single employee go through in the city, instead of listening to your shareholders, your stakeholders, and your employees. So I would encourage you, maybe it's time for another survey, very specific, and you guys receive the raw data to evaluate that so that you can get the information straight from your stakeholders. I think maybe that's in order. I was disappointed also to watch you guys on the last agenda item. You had a whole bunch of citizens come up here and tell you that they don't feel safe with the plans of the city, the changes that are being made. And I don't know anything about the development. I don't really have an opinion on that, but I do know that no consideration has been made for public safety. We have not looked at adding any public services. The building has been epic in the city of Sparks over the last 5 or 6 years, and there's been no additions for public safety. So I don't think that the council is listening to the constituents. And I'm very concerned that it's all about the money. It's all about the dollars. And you must build or die. And I know that's the overarching theme here. But at a point, you have to listen to your constituents and your stakeholders, or the city is going to wither and die. Thank you, guys.
Darren. William Stewart.
William T. Stewart for the record. I just want to finish up on my ICMA. So number 9, keep the community informed on local government affairs and encourage communication between the citizens and all local government officers. Emphasize friendly and courteous service to the public and seek to improve the quality and image of public service. Number 10, resist any encroachment on professional responsibilities, believing the member should be free to carry out official policies without interference and handle each problem without discrimination on the basis of principle and justice. Number 11, handle all matters of personnel on the basis of merit so that fairness and impartiality govern a member's decision pertaining to appointments, pay adjustments, promotions, and discipline. And number 12, public office is public trust. So when somebody unilaterally decides to dismiss somebody from this department without consulting council as well as HR, that is a lack of trust. And that was what happened. And now the city's checkbook is going to be opened, and we don't know how much that's going to cost the city. So how can we get that trust back? You had a 3-to-3 split between you guys. Obviously, there's some issues between the city manager and you guys because 3 of you voted to basically terminate him. So how do you fix it? I hope you have a plan to do that. The city of people, the city of Sparks are counting on you. We put your trust in you guys. Take care of us. God bless.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? Okay, we'll bring it back to the dais. We'll, announcement from the mayor, city council, city manager. Mr. Manager, you have anything?
No, sir.
Anything from the council? Ms. Vanderwell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to request an agenda item for June 12th for an independent investigation into survey results, leadership, employee relations, and anything else to do with the city manager. And I would like that to be independent, please.
Okay, Mr. Abbott.
I was just gonna thank Tony. I think it's Tony Paley's last day at a council meeting today, right? So this one. Okay, but last council meeting, just want to thank him for his service and all that you did for our city, starting from at a very lower part of Parks and Rec and working your way up.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson.
Yes, sir, I have 2. So I'd like to ask the city manager for a future agenda item to discuss the implementation of a formal exit interview process for all employees, please.
Mr. Dare.
Without question, today is an interesting day, probably the most interesting since I've been elected. With that said, I do look forward to the future and seeing how things can grow in the right direction and be pushed together. I also want to say, I believe it's somebody's birthday. I don't know if you're going to bring that up.
You got to let the mayor say something.
Well, okay, then I'll be quiet on that.
Okay, well, from anyone else? Mr. Anderson.
Actually, just one more. So this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. And on Saturday, May, just speaking of mental health, May 20th at 9 a.m. at the Sparks Marina, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention will be holding a walk called Walk Out of the Darkness. A bunch of organizations from throughout the community will be there in collaboration, providing resources and a time for support and help with those that may be or have had loved ones that have experienced suicide. So hopefully you can make it and come support the cause. Thank you.
Okay. And then I'd just like to wish a happy birthday to Mr. Bill Wagner. His birthday's today and decided to grace him. He's celebrating 41 years of his 41st birthday. No, we're not singing happy birthday. I've heard you guys sing. I've heard you sing. Okay, with that, it's adjourned. You can sing all you want.